happy to have you here. And today we're going to talk a little bit about Copaiba and CBD. I would like to put it into a context of four very specific things. And this is going to surprise you, but price, purity, potency. And then I'd also like to talk about some new discoveries we're making for Pathway. And I want to relate those all to CBD and this comparison to Copaiba. And so one of the things that we know about CBD is that everybody has had seemingly great experience. We know that there's a good amount of information that's available, and we don't want to be discounting of any of that. So let's just talk some very specific things. When you think of those first three things, price, potency, and purity, what comes to mind to you?
In the marketplace today, CBD is flooded all over the place. It's in every product imaginable, from mascara to doggy treats and everything in between. The trouble is that when people are taking it to help them with problems that they have with their health, the doses that are required are so high that the price point is really painful.
Well, it becomes painful and becomes unobtainable for most people, and purity is a different animal for me. I'm going to drill down on this just a little bit.
It's doTERRA's calling card.
It's what we do. It's
Absolutely.
What we know, and I know the intensity that goes with that. And in an industry that, as you indicated, has this plethora of products, we see a lot of inconsistencies in terms of the amount that's available of the CBD. Where are some of the differences that you see there?
Well, the trouble with CBD is that the hemp industry, where CBD comes from, is not very regulated. And the products that are made are not checked for purity. And the amount of CBD within those products can be highly variable. Because of the dissonance that exists between the federal and state statutes around CBD, it's not a good time for us as a company to enter that arena.
Maybe at some point in the future, when we know more, when we understand more. Let's look at the Endocannabinoids System, CB1, CB2 receptors.
Do you want me to explain it really quickly?
Very quick for everybody to understand what that
is. So the
is.
endocannabinoid system in our body controls a whole host of things. Eat, sleep, forget, relax, and the receptor tone matters. And you change that receptor tone by these chemicals that our body makes for ourselves. We call them endocannabinoids. In the plant world, there are lots of chemicals that plants make that interact with our own body's receptors. And they are called phytocannabinoids, and CBD is one of those. Beta-caryophyllene is another, right? And that potency issue, how much power you get to that system, either upregulating or downregulating that system, depends on how you bind to those receptors. And beta-caryophyllene is a direct binder to the system.
Correct.
And CBD is an indirect binder.
So this offers some explanation why we're not saying that CBD has no value. It's just a different circumstance.
Correct.
And the amount that we have present within those two products, by comparison, when we look at Copaiba essential oil, when we look at CBD,
they're very different.
They're very different, and we really don't compare them. And this is one of the things that I've become most excited about with Copaiba, is that the beta-caryophyllene, this phytocannabinoid that you talked about, that in and of itself resides in substantial amounts. There's really little question about, are we getting some efficacious dosages associated with that?
The potency that you can obtain by getting a purified product from Copaiba with beta-caryophyllene is quite high.
I really get excited about what we're currently discovering with Pathway. And so let's talk about that, because you've already indicated that one of the differences that we see as we activate this system, and we're talking about CB2 receptors, we have indirect consequence and direct consequence, and it's the downstream effect that both of those create that we're after.
So binding at the receptor level is really important, but what matters in the cell is how you get to your end result, which is changing DNA, proteins, enzymes, the cellular functions. And direct binding at these receptors has effects that will drive cellular mechanisms to change certain outcomes within the body.
One of the other things that I have liked about Copaiba as an essential oil product is the diversity that we see. It's not just phytocannabinoid that's there. It's not just the beta-caryophyllene. We have lots of other chemistry, and that provides some diversity for us. And so, unlike the CBD, when we look at Copaiba as an essential oil, we have potential for other benefits that really can even reside outside of the endocannabinoid
Well,
system.
when we talk about Copaiba, we're not just talking about beta-caryophyllene, I agree.
Correct.
There are many molecules within the essential oil, many of which have plant chemistry behind them, where we know that there are going to be other effects than just simply the endocannabinoid system. Beta-caryophyllene, however, being a major component.
And that's one of the things that we love about it, is that we're confident we have potency.
Mm-hmm.
We know that we have purity, and we know that it's directed to the endocannabinoid system. I've seen a bottle of CBD sometimes sell for hundreds of dollars.
Sure.
And the amount that I would have to consume, based on the discussion that we've had, is exponentially higher than what we would see with something like Copaiba that has higher chemistry, certainly not hundreds of dollars a bottle. And we've also know, and have looked at the research and know that by comparison we can have very small dosage amounts and still create the benefit and the effect that we're looking for. That to me is one of the critical things. I get greater benefit from the Copaiba.
And higher value.
I get greater efficacy and I have much higher value.
I come back to as well those 4 Ps. I think it's the foundation of what doTERRA does. Purity and price are extremely important when you're talking about a product like this, and I think that Copaiba will define itself in the marketplace quite nicely over time.
Has anyone ever sat in a room with 2 doctors? You're the third person. So we're having our first child here in August. Me and my wife are, right? So you're supposed to, exciting, right? So you go to these doctor appointments that they always drag the husband to, right? So you go in, you're acting smiley, and my wife's a nurse even, right? So they start talking, and they're going, and at the end he's like, any questions? And I was like, are we pregnant or what? Like, I missed like half of that. And sometimes it's a little hard. So there's a ton of great content that Dr. Hill and Dr. Osguthorpe covered there. I want to break it down into layman terms, right? Hopefully a lot we can kind of simplify it and try to help you understand that. Unless we all got it. We all set, check forever. Let's kind of break it down a little bit. If we look at the history a bit of cannabis in there, you'll look that a decade ago, it really started becoming a popular thing, really probably quite a bit before that, but this is where it went on this scene to the point where then it was made illegal, ran into a lot of legal regulations with a lot of scares, financial issues with it back in 1910, and then about a few years ago, we ran into the fact where now we're starting to understand more. We're starting to understand there's a difference between all these different cannabinoids in marijuana. So we're trying to understand them now. So from the doTERRA standpoint, is we want to be able to today understand all the different things that the endocannabinoid system affects and what can have an effect on it. So this is kind of give you a quick history of when the act is, and now that CBD and THC are considered differently instead of just marijuana, as before, right? They're now understood as different compounds within this plant. So that's how we're going to kind of go throughout it here. So let's talk about CBD oil is really popular, right? Do people see the CBD stuff kind of everywhere? It's kind of a trendy thing, right? You kind of see that CBD oil is kind of scattered throughout different products. Really, I want to say shout out to our interpreter who did that entire video a second ago. Tried processing all those things those doctors were saying, and it's not even super impressive. Okay? Anyway, sorry, getting back to it. Okay? You'll find that CBD, there's no regulated requirement of how much CBD has to be in a product for it to be able to write CBD on it, right? Does that make sense? So like what you find nowadays, you find CBD doggy treats, CBD bath bombs, CBD mascara, right? You find all these different things that say CBD, CBD, CBD. How much CBD actually is in them though, right? That's kind of the question. You find that a lot of these, 99% of them are just, crop. They just have a little bit of fairy dust bit on them. That's kind of the idea. Oh, you find that, okay, I'm buying this with CBD, but does it have enough CBD to actually make a difference? So you'll find there are these studies that were done. One just barely and one done back in 2011. The study back just recently found that it would take to have a meaningful effect right here for schizophrenia, 1,000 milligrams of CBD to be able to have that effect. That's what the study has found here. The study found back in 2011 found that CBD does help anxiety, but you need about 600 milligrams worth to be able to get that effect. So if you look at that, you're looking at a price range of $75 to $180 per day. I said US dollars later today, and people are like, oh, that exchange rate is so different, right? But to give you an idea, that's about how much it would cost per day to get the right dosage of CBD according to the studies that we know. CBD is just recent, like we said, it's just been recently starting to be studied for health benefits, the last 10 years or so. So now that we're understanding, okay, the studies we found, it takes quite a bit of CBD to get these effects that we're needing. It's not really cost effective, okay? You'll find that a lot of these ones that you come out have the little bit of fairy dust, they don't have near this milligrams, and nor do they have to say that they have that many milligrams because it's not regulated. They're not going to tell you have to have at least this much to be able to claim CBD. Okay, does that make sense? We're kind of getting how that's going there. So, if you look at this, if you do a CO2 extraction of CBD from marijuana, to be able to then legally sell it within the United States, even in Canada, even with recreational marijuana legal, there's still legal regulations on CBD products. To still be able to have a CBD product, it has to have a low THC level, right? So if you were to do a CO2 extraction of it to make an essential oil, you have to add a carrier oil, which, like in doTERRA, we use fractionated coconut oil. So you use the carrier oil, you'll add it to this isolate version of CBD, and it will basically bring down the THC levels to the point where now it's legal, right? But what does that bring down as well? CBD levels, okay? So now you're having a big thing that says that it's CBD oil, but really it's very small percentage to get that because the cost to get CBD otherwise is exponential. It's crazy. So that's kind of what you kind of see is that happens when you see CBD oil. You get quite a bit of this. Now we're not discrediting it. There's definitely, like I said, there's studies that we say it can have a great benefits to it, but it's not really price effective right now for what doTERRA offers. We can't just put CBD on an oil and go sell it like some of our competitors do, right? We can't offer that. We could go do this and put CBD on it, and we're just fit in with everyone else. But that's not the way we want to do things, and it's not the way we are going to do things, right? Dr. Hill's made it clear multiple times we're not going to participate in this field. Okay, we're going to make sure that we do things the way we do things. We are the leader in essential oils. We have the best processes. We know the most about essential oils. We're discovering the most about essential oils. We're going to do it the right way. That's kind of been our mantra, and we're going to go with it, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, yeah, we got some passion behind it, okay? I love it. My heart was clapping right there for myself, right? Kind of. Okay, so let's go into this a little more. Are we fine going more? We're still in tune? I haven't put anyone to sleep yet? Someone laughed in the back like, I'm waking. Okay, so let's understand what we're trying to affect here. You have your endocannabinoid system. So it's the system in your body. It affects everything from your head to your toe. All right, Dr. O talked about it. Sleep, eat, pain. I mean, there's so many different things that this system affects. So you look at it, your body has the endocannabinoid system, and what it does is it produces these cannabinoids that help itself, right? Your body is always being able to produce chemicals to be able to interact, to be able to boost you up when you're having pain. Now, when you're feeling extreme pain, extreme fatigue, extreme sleep problems, right? You want a little boost, right? Everyone likes those little boosts, right? That's what we kind of look for products for. So what we have is you have these plants that have what we call the phytocannabinoids. And these phytocannabinoids are found in many, many different plants. Broccoli has a lot of phytocannabinoids. So all you who haven't been eating your broccoli all these years, right, you're missing out. Okay? So that one of the main reasons marijuana is very popular because everyone knows it's very high and it has very high, good joke, has CBD and THC. It's well known, okay? No one's recording this, right? Okay? But you have these phytocannabinoids that are found in these plants, right? So we want to be able to use those for our system to give them a boost when we need it, right? He was talking about being able to cause the interaction with our receptors to be able to give us that boost. So that's the effect we want to have on our system. So we take this, how do we get these in? Okay, oh, sorry. So here's, in layman terms, the different ways that it helps us. It helps us with our mood, pain, sleep, appetite, memory, pleasure and reward. I mean, who doesn't like those things, right? I mean, this is something that you want to be able to take because it makes us feel good. It helps us when we're feeling down. It helps us give us that boost. Okay? So, you'll look at this right up here that there are different types of phytocannabinoids. CBD is a type of phytocannabinoid. There's 50 plus, right? CBD is a type. It's probably the most well known. That's why it's always talked about. But there's more than them that has an interaction with this system. So we're going to talk about the three most studied here. The top three that go through. So CBD, which we talked about quite a bit. CBD is known for that it'll help with these benefits, but it doesn't have a direct impact, which we'll talk about here in a second. Then you get THC. The thing you get with THC is it helps a bit with the CB2 receptors like CBD, but it also affects your CB1 receptors. And what you'll find is your CB1 receptors are in your mind, and we'll talk about that here in a sec. And then you'll find beta-caryophyllene, BCP, is the last one, that directly interacts with not your CB1, but just your CB2 receptors in your body. Does everyone know what receptors are? Probably not. I heard a lot of yes, you're right. You guys are smarter than me. Okay? Okay, look, for those of you who maybe not understand this, right, so you have different receptors that are going to be able to intake this. So your CB1 receptors, they kind of have that part of your, your central nervous system in your brain. So if you're able to interact that with THC, you get psychoactive effects, right? You kind of get that boost or that high that people kind of look for. Okay, that's what you get out of THC. While your CB2 receptors, the things that it affects is your immune cells, your GI system, your peripheral nervous system, right? They're different type parts of your body, right? So THC has that big effect on your brain. Well, the CB2, or what you find with CBD and BCP, they interact just with those CB2s. You following? Is that all right? Okay, good. A lot of stuff there, so I want to go. Okay? So if we look at this, the receptors and how they go with the body, you'll find THC. It will go right there with the CB1s. And then you'll find CBD will interact with your CB2 receptors, but it's an indirect reaction that kind of happens. So basically, if you guys want to go from here to Toronto, do you want to do a layover for 5 hours in Saskatoon? Ain't nobody trying to do that, right? Okay? So what you'll find with CBD is CBD by itself doesn't have a direct impact, what we understand right now on the body, right? Some bodies might have the right cannabinoids in it to be able to have that, but for the majority of the part, you need something else. It needs a boost to be able to go. Or what we're finding here with beta-caryophyllene, which we find a lot in doTERRA's Copaiba oil, it has a direct impact on the CB2 receptors and on the cells. So by that, okay, if that has the same direct impact as CBD, is it comparable in that part? Are they going to do the same thing in the body? Yes. That's what you find out. That's what it's a phytocannabinoid and interacts with that system. So it has that direct, clear pathway into the body. And that's what we're finding with Copaiba, is that it's very, very effective in doing this. So let's talk about why here for a sec.
Copaiba oil really has kind of hit the scientific community, like a shooting star. And we didn't really understand what was so neat about it until the research started coming in about beta-caryophyllene. So the way that we understand it, the phytocannabinoid, so the beta-caryophyllene in this case, comes in and interacts with a receptor on the cell surface. You think of your windows of your house, right? You're getting things that are interacting with your window, and it changes what you do inside your house. You don't actually come into contact with it, but it changes what you do. If you see rain on your window, you pick up an umbrella. You wear a different outfit that day. So it's that same kind of idea. We're having things that are interacting with the surface of the cell. They're changing things that are happening inside the cell. There's a cascade. There's this chain reaction of things that happens once that receptor gets activated. And other molecules inside the cell start to get excited, and they start to change, and they start to interact with other things. And eventually what happens is the DNA inside of our nucleus actually goes to work, and different genes are upregulated or downregulated. Other signaling molecules are either increased in amount or decreased in amount.
Okay, hopefully that gives you kind of a little idea there. So, what we can offer here, the thing is with Copaiba, is that we're able to make sure it meets all of our standards, right? It meets our CPTG standards. And it can go through these 54 tests, right? So if you look at all these tests right here, you can name all of these and you can do all of them. You're an incredible person, right? But you'll find there, you see everything in purple is our doterra chemistry tests that we do. Everything in gray is our biological testings. And everything there up there in blue is done by APRC on Copaiba to make sure that it has all the necessary things in it that we say it has, and that it will be able to give us the effect that we're looking for in the body. So, currently, we look at CBD. Is it bad? Is it something that we're scared of? No. And we're not, and we won't deny it. We can't say that it doesn't bring health benefits. It definitely can. But it doesn't fit into how we do things right now. There's too many question marks. There's the legal regulations that come with removing the THC from it. There's the purity parts that come to it. There is the pathway. We don't understand enough how it interacts with the body without something else. We're coming in all these things. And lastly, we're not trying to have our customers be paying $180 a day to be able to get the right milligrams. So we have to go to something else. And this is where we come to, is that we want everyone to quit being sad that we don't have CBD, quit being sad on it, and understand that everyone else should be sad that they don't have what we have in Copaiba. That's what we're going with. So look at what we got, an amazing part with Copaiba, to quickly kind of wrap up here. Okay? The Copaiba tree, not found in Canada, sorry. Can't go down your, everyone's sitting there, right, gonna go find the Copaiba tree and knock it down, right? Copaiba tree found in the Amazon. Actually been known about for quite a few years by a lot of Brazilian healthcare professionals. These trees can live to 400 years long. They get up to 100 feet tall, okay? Quite a magnificent production that comes from these trees too, is that the resin that comes from these oils, we yield 50 to 70% BCP. Really, really, really high resin, really, really high percentages that come out of this beta-caryophyllene, which is a phytocannabinoid, different than CBD, but gives us what we understand right now, higher and better benefits at a smaller dosage. Okay, so with this coming up, you see right here, the Copaiba tree, we find that it comes in many different species. What we've done is we've taken 4 different species of the Copaiba tree, and we blend them. We blend the resins to create our oil. Because what we find is the chemistries in some give us an effect, and they give us different chemistries some of the other ones. So let's take from all and be able to get multiple different benefits from these plants and be able to offer a high quality oil. Okay? Kind of understand, hopefully, how doterra, this is how we kind of do things. We're not just putting out Copaiba, which you can do. You can go down and harvest a Copaiba tree, take the oil out of it, and go sell it. But what's the difference? Okay? This is a research that was done by the Roseman University, okay? doTERRA didn't do this research, it was brought to us. So we're gonna use it because it really benefits us, right? What Roseman found is that they took some other Copaiba oils, and doterra Copaiba oil, and they wanted to understand the effects they were doing. What they found is doterra Copaiba oil had high results and high anti-inflammation results, many other benefits. Well, what we found with other ones is we found different chemistry that showed not pure oils, but some things being adulterated. And not only that, not only did a lot of the cells not improve, a lot didn't only get worse, some actually killed the cells, which were found. Because what you find is chemistry is important. Just because it says Copaiba on it, and it kind of came from a Copaiba tree, any adulteration or change in the chemistry or adding in synthetics can change the molecular compound in it, and it will not interact with your cells the same way. And that's a big part of this we have to understand. It will not interact the same way, so you can't expect the same results. It's got to be the pure and potent that comes from it. So that was a cool research to understand that doTERRA is offering a high quality Copaiba oil. So you have our Copaiba oil right now runs for $45 wholesale for our wholesale members. And then CBD oil right now, which is costing in Canadian dollar, I did it, is between $100 to $240 per day to get the same kind of yield benefits that we're looking at. Again, CBD, like we said, we're trying to understand it. We're not ruling it out forever, but we're ruling it out until we understand it better, because right now it can't offer what we need. But with Copaiba, you see, well, one drop is about 45 milligrams, right? 50 milligrams, we get an elevated mood. 100 milligrams, we can get rid of anxious feelings. 25, we can even get rid of, and we can affect the inflammatory response and improve there. There's a lot of benefits that come with just drops of Copaiba oil, okay? Every time before I come on stage before you guys, you better believe I've taken a few Copaiba to try to calm myself down, all right? It's my oil, and that's why I think one of the coolest things is that I get to talk about it is because despite, all the joke about things, Copaiba does different things for me that one day I hope to come back and share my story about how it's affected my life. And it's cool how being able to research it and to be tag teaming this with Dr. Hill and Dr. O, that I've learned so much about myself in doing this. And I understand the health benefits. When I thought, well, maybe CBD is an option. But now I found my own way of doing it, right? And I've been able to improve my own health because of it, right? And it's so fun to be able to take something like Copaiba and watch it work. It's a lot of fun. So the good thing about it, it's safe. You can diffuse it. You can take it internally. You can apply it topically. We're offering, right, fully pure, potent oils. So you don't have to worry about any of those things that Roseman found that it could cause harm to your cells. Offers so many different things from digestive support to, like we said, cardiovascular health or your anxiety, anxious feelings. Man, I think over there everyone's freaking out how non-compliant doTERRA reps being, right? But this is what we found it does. We're going to talk about it because it really does cause so many benefits. So, are we worn out yet? Guys, we have Lindsay coming up here in a second, so we hope you guys have energy because she got a lot of stuff. But I hope in kind of short here, you're able to kind of understand what our purpose with Copaiba is. Right? You look at this, and when you come with us in doTERRA, you become part of this family. And not only being a part of the family, right, we become one. Okay? And right here, when the power of many come together to form the power of one, a movement begins that can change the world. Okay? So I stand by what I said on this. This is something that we talk about CBD and THC because that's the well-known, that's the trendy topic. If you do your research, you find beta-caryophyllene, BCP, is a very, very well-known phytocannabinoid that isn't being talked about enough. And so at doTERRA, we're changing the way this is done. We're disrupting healthcare in many ways, but this is one of the ways we're disrupting because we're not following the trend. We're being able to make our own path to be able to instruct. Okay?